Now, yesterday it came to light that a leader of the APC, Malam Salihu Lukman, who is a deputy national chairman of the APC, had written an open letter which he tagged disturbing signals to President Bola Tinubu, and he was highlighting the situation in the party, the emergence of Abdullahi Ganduje as the national chairman of the APC, the fear factor, and the Muslim matter, and the issue of religion and what it has cost the perception of the APC, the quality of President Tinubu's appointments, and of course the policies of President Tinubu and the expectations of Nigeria. Tonight, we shall be speaking with the man, Mr. Salihu Lukman, who has a very strong background in activism and has grown to become the deputy national chairman of the APC Northwest. He joins us live tonight on the program from Abuja. Thank you so much, Malam Lukman, for joining us tonight. Part of the issues that you raised in your open letter, you have blown whistle, and those who have called you the activists in the APC, NWC, and now a lot of issues that you have raised. You have talked about the Adamu led APC and the Omishore collabo, which you criticized that they bowed out of the office. Now, Governor Ganduje is now at the helm of affairs, but you have fundamental issues about his emergence and the issues that have trailed when he was a governor, and now you've raised issue also about President Tinubu's policies. But because of national interest, let's deal with that first and foremost. Inflation gotten to 24% today, and also we understand now that there's a contention and speculation about a possibility of a rise or increase in the pump price of petrol, and the presidency has said, no, we are not planning to do that. But you have warned that the president needs to be careful about his policy decisions. What are your greatest fears about the policy decisions of President Tinubu?
Okay, well, first, thank you very much, Sheun. Let me start by clarifying. Until I think July 26, I was National Vice Chairman, Northwest of the APC. I have resigned since July 26. So that clarification needs to be made. The second issue is to say I raise all these issues because I'm a loyal party member, and I believe very strongly that we have what it takes as a party, and I believe President Asuwaju come very ready and very competent to manage the affairs of the country. I try to raise all these issues so that from the beginning we really get it right, and all other issues that may create any problem in the process of leadership between now and 2027 can be addressed. Having said all of that, I read the issue of what I call disturbing signals, largely because I believe the first 2 weeks of the assumption of office of President Asuwaju, he started very well. And his approval rating went very high. Everybody, all of us became very confident that he was really tackling the issues in the way they should be tackled. Unfortunately, after 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the line, to this period, we have a drop in the tempo and the momentum with which issues are being handled. And I think we need to return back to that tempo of the first 2 weeks of the administration. Now, some of the issues is about really availing the government the opportunity of access by party leaders so that they can help make input. Things are now, I think the government is increasingly becoming isolated, and isolated decisions are being made. And I think these are some of the major challenge. All the issues you raise about inflation, increase in prices of petroleum products, it's because it will appear that we have taken isolated decision. And that if you go back during the campaign, we campaigned based on the agenda Renew Hope. And it was clear, it was a comprehensive integrated plan. And I think that is where we need to go back and roll out all these things. So I think if we're able to achieve that, we'll return back, President Aswaju will return back to that tempo, and the approval rating will begin to go up, and all the issues will begin to be clarified. At the moment, because isolated decisions have been taken, life is becoming very hard, really. As you said, inflation is going up. A lot of things are just not right, and we need to bring this to the attention to the president so that he will really do something to correct it.
You said in that the portion, of course, I refer to you as still the leader of the party from the Northwest, as a vice chairman Northwest, because the party had told us on this program that yes, they heard that you resigned, but they have not accepted your resignation. But we understand that it could be two ways. You resign and your resignation accepted. Well, that's a controversy between you and the party. But let's move on. You've said that the expectations of many Nigerians have crashed about the Tinubu administration. And I'd like to get your view on the paragraphs where you related on the policy decisions of this government. There are those who believe that they had enough time, about 3 months, to prepare since the president was declared winner in that election. And in fact, what we understand was that there was a trip to France, and where we understand that the president said he wanted to rest and focus on getting alliance with foreign investors in the country. Now, those will be asking the questions, where are those preparations? Where are those investment opportunities? And now, the situation of the country is deteriorating. Yes, positive results, but the initial policy of the government is causing a lot of pains on Nigerians. But when you say they should go back to the very first moment when they got into office, what exactly do you mean about this?
What I mean is that there is clearly a plan. I think the process of negotiation to nominate ministers, the process of making some other appointment may have consumed the attention of both the president and many of the people around him. I think now that ministers have been, and that is another story altogether. I mean, like I said, many of us are quite disappointed, and I will explain why in particular myself, I'm disappointed. Because looking at the ministerial nominees, there are, I think, about 6 that are medical doctors. There are additional another 5 that are lawyers. And put all together, you can hardly say this is the thinking that goes into nominating. I think it's just politics that has played out, which is not the Aswaju we know. I mean, the Aswaju we know, which we campaign very confidently about, is somebody who, at every point in time, he knows what he wants to achieve, and he knows how to go about getting the people that he's going to work with. And that is the point I made. I mean, when I said our expectations have crashed. But it's not too late. We believe we are raising it so that he get aware about it and do something to return back to the same Aswaju that we know, which is why in my concluding paragraph I said, I pray that the Aswaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the progressive politician, will be the president of this country for the next 4 years. And I think that is the point I'm making.
So Malam Saliu, when you say that there is clearly a plan, is it a plan that was being campaigned on, the renewed agenda plan, or there is because there was a leaked document that I saw about a strategy of almost an every day-to-day strategy of how the early days of the Tinubu presidency will look like, but it doesn't look like that is playing out. But when you say there's clearly a plan, are you privy to a plan that this government has had? Because there are those who will ask you that they've not seen any plan.
What I can tell you I'm privy to is the fact that at least I have over the years observed Asuwaju, both from close range and from a distance. And I certainly know that he is a meticulous person as a leader. And whatever is playing now that is distracting him from the set plan, I think we need to really draw his attention that he needs to get back to that plan. I don't believe that he got in here without a plan. I believe there is a plan, and being part of the leadership, I am privy to some of the discussions around the plan, and sincerely speaking, there is a plan, I believe. What has happened in the last few weeks, about 6 weeks or thereabout, I think is the process of negotiation for appointment that may have distracted the government from the initial plan. And my appeal, and that is why I said, as a loyal member of APC and as a Nigerian, because part of the problem of politics in this country, and we must address that, is a situation where people are permanently on the election mode. We just come out of election. Whether we like it or not as a nation, the next election will be in the next 4 years. And therefore, we must do everything possible to engage our leaders to get it right so that in the next 4 years, life should get better. And I think as a party, I believe our leaders are committed to that. And I believe Asuwaju, as president of this country, is committed to that. It's up to us to really engage him in a way that he appreciates that he doesn't have much options.
Let me quickly add this, and I like a very brief answer to this so that we can move to a long list of other issues. Do you perhaps imagine that there could have been some kind of cabals around the president, some strong hand behind the president that perhaps are distracting him, or perhaps something from
breaking.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you now.
All right. So can you perhaps imagine, because you're talking about a Tinubu that you knew, and now what is playing out doesn't look exactly or for your understanding and the knowledge that you have of him. Now, do you perhaps imagine maybe, just maybe, there are some powers behind the power or behind the seat of power that are manipulating the process that is not allowing the Bola Tinubu that you know to function optimally, and perhaps there are some fundamental things wrong with piloting the affairs of this country?
Whatever the power that is behind the scene, my belief is that he is ready and he came prepared, he can deal with those powers. What we are doing now, both as party members and as citizens of this country, is to draw his attention to the fact that he needs to really attend to those issues. Because, like I said in the open letter, we must not allow a situation where some of the issues that are happening now become the defining attribute of the Tinubu administration. Because when that happens, it becomes the defining attribute of our party. And like I said, we can as well sign off in terms of our ambition for electoral victory in future elections. And that is why we have to be very active now to ensure that we support the president. When we criticize, we are not criticizing him to pull him down. We are criticizing him so that he gets it right and really sit up and deliver on all the electoral promises we have made to Nigerians.
Now, let me take you quickly to the quality of President Tinubu's appointees and cabinet formations. And you really said this is one area that you are very critical and use very strong words, such as that our expectation from your government has crashed. That is a very strong one. I mean, if you are to analyze or assess Which of these appointments are you disappointed in?
Well, look, I prefer to talk in general terms now, because to be fair to all those who are nominated, they qualify to be ministers, they qualify to be in the position they are. But the point is, at the stage we are as a country, we expected, and I am saying so as a very active party member who was active in the process leading up to even the emergence of President Asuwaju Tinubu. Our expectation was that we wanted not a business as usual approach. We wanted a situation where the business of managing the affairs of the country will depart from the conventional practices, which we believe is part of the problem of politics in this country. And that is why I qualify it in that open letter by saying that it is clear politics eclipse any other factor in terms of the factor that determine all the nominations. I won't say all, most of the nominations that have taken place. And that is the source of why I said our expectations have crashed. But that being the case, I mean, here we are. We draw the attention of the president. I'm absolutely sure, in fact, before the open letter yesterday, I raised issues about the need for him to really give targets to all the ministers, so that from the beginning, we know that there are targets, and when they don't deliver on the target, he doesn't owe anybody any job. Get rid of them and bring people who can deliver on targets. I think once we get him to come back to that level, that playing level, he will begin to correct whatever may have been the lapses with respect to the nominations.
Let me quickly take you up on this before I take you to Mr. Ganduje's matter, as you mentioned in your letter. What exactly do you imagine is going on with the nomination of Malam Nasir El-Rufai? Do you think that it was politically or technically pushed out of the scene?
Well, look. I didn't want to comment on this because my personal opinion is that, again, politics is being overplayed. You know, if other nominees are cleared, I don't see any reason why Malam Nasir will not be cleared. And sincerely speaking, the earlier we reduce political consideration in terms of determination of decisions with respect to appointment, the better for the country. That will be what I will say at this point.
But I'm just wondering, he's not the only one, though. There are three of them, but it's hinged on issues of security, and that's why their nominations are being pending. But let me take you to Malam Ganduje's emergence and competence. You, in strong words, have said that he should not have emerged, and you are relating to his time as governor of Kano State. What do you think for you? Because you sound embarrassed in that letter, and the fact that a lot of people are not able to speak up on these, the fact also that Malam Ganduje and Senator Basiru Ajibala are Muslims, and you're saying that this is repeating itself. But for Malam Ganduje, what are your grounds, or what is your grounds with him?
Well, first, let me clarify. I respect Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. He is a leader both in the party and in the Northwest, where I come from. I respect him. But I want, and this is where I need to be hard on. I was about the first person that raised the issue, call on Senator Abdullahi Adamu to resign immediately after the election. And my reason was that there is the need for us as a party to demonstrate sensitivity, that we contested the election on a Muslim-Muslim ticket. Having contested on the Muslim-Muslim ticket and won, we need to now demonstrate that it was purely an electoral strategy. And I call on Senator Abdullahi Adamu to make the supreme sacrifice. I reminded him that APC was founded based on sacrifice, and he need to make that sacrifice. And I made the point that we need to get somebody, a Christian from the same North Central. Now, of course, subsequently, the internal dynamics within the APC played out in such a way that it became conflictual. We had to fight, issues of accountability later came up. And of course, as part of that campaign for accountability, not only Senator Abdullahi Adamu had to go, but also Senator Omishore, who was the National Secretary, had to go. Now, having achieved all of that, and I want to put it to everybody, before anybody starts thinking of let Abdullahi Adamu go or create vacancies, I was the first to start campaigning on that. I never campaigned on any principle other than two issues. One, the need to open up and adjust to issues of inclusivity. Secondly, on the issue of accountability. Now, the other point which I hinged my campaign on while I was in the National Working Committee was the need to return the party to constitutional order. Throughout our tenure under the leadership of Senator Abdullahi Adamu, we didn't seem to be respecting our constitution. So I expected once vacancy is created, the first is that we should look at our constitutional provision and use the constitutional provision to determine the succession, who will now replace Senator Abdullahi Adamu. But instead, political consideration again come in. I don't want to go into those political considerations, but it was clear for the decision to be taken by the president to move the chairmanship out of North Central to Northwest. It was purely political consideration, nothing more, nothing less. And I can't find any rational explanation to it, given the fact that already we should change the North Central in the leadership of the National Assembly. And I felt, and I still feel very strongly, I don't think any leader of this country can attempt to do that on the people of Southwest. But here we are. North Central have been meted with clear decision which is unjust and unfair, and there is almost a graveyard silence where internally inside the party, people are not raising it. And I feel if we are a party that is truly envisioned to be a progressive party, the culture of internal debate, the capacity of people to be courageous to raise issues, even if it is issues that differ with the position of the president or anybody in the person, should not be in question. But what I see in the last few weeks is that if nobody wants to raise issues on a matter that the president has decided. And I'm saying until this moment, yes, Dr. Ganduje has emerged as the chairman of the party, and I'm loyal. I respect it. But I disagree. It is not the right decision. That we are living with the wrong decision is a different matter entirely. But as progressive politicians, we must have the commitment to continue to engage the issue so that we collectively are able to correct any wrong decisions that have been taken.
Malam Lukman, you also raised the issue about Malam Ganduje, Dr. Ganduje himself, and you related to what happened, an uncleared situation about corruption allegations against him, which you premised that these for you are premise that you should not even give Governor Ganduje the opportunity to be able to become the APC chairman. But there are those who will say, well, he's not been prosecuted. There are no cases against him in court. Well, there are issues that have been raised in Kano, although. But, how do you premise this, though?
Well, look, my position is very simple. These are allegations, and we must not use it against Dr. Ganduje. But to the extent that politics is about perception, it is out there, it has not been proven, and is still being used. I think what we can do as a party, while these issues are being sorted out, is to try whatever support we can give to Dr. Ganduje internally within the party so that the issues are cleared in the competent court of law. It can be done. But to overlook that and ignore it as if there is nothing is almost to suggest that as a party, we are not interested in an allegation against any one of us on matters of corruption. And I think that is dangerous. As a nation, as a party that is vested with the privilege of ruling this country, we shouldn't allow that to happen.
All right, let's wrap this up now. And I'd like to know, you also raised the issue of Muslim, and some of these things that you have raised, you say it's playing again in your party. And now, where does Tinubu go from here? There's this escalation of these issues and this long list of warring and disturbing signals that you have raised. What must he do? Because the destiny of this country is at stake, and we cannot afford to misstep in any way.
Again, I think for me is to again appeal to the president. And I believe he has very, very competent people around him, very competent people in the leadership of the party. I think he needs to take a step back and sit down with people to say, look, the main objective in terms of inclusivity is to guarantee that everybody feel belong, that everybody is included, so that all the perceptions that have led to some kind of tension in the country can begin to be brought down to the barest minimum. I think that is the main objective. But like I said, we can only appeal to the president at this stage. And I think in that appeal is for him to take a step back and quietly sit down with people around him to see how this thing can be resolved quietly. I'm sure once they are resolved, anyway, whatever it is, I'm a member of APC, and I will remain a member of APC. I will remain active. I'll continue to raise issues, and my objective will remain so that we get it right and continue to meet the expectations of Nigeria.
All right, because I needed to go because there's a part of that question that you quite didn't touch on, and it's the part where you inferred religious bigotry in your party to the attainment of political aim and purpose. How worrying is this for perception's sake? Is it real or is it just perception? You say he's playing it.
I think, Sean, let's get it clear. I don't think it's something that our leaders, so President Aswaju, set out to deliberately. Like I said from the beginning, I think what is happening is that politics has taken over everything. And in the process, we are appearing to be a little bit insensitive on certain matters. And that is why I said, at this point is to appeal. There is the need to take a step back and really sit down and put all these issues on the table.
All right.
Like I said, and I was the first to flag off the campaign about Abdullah Admi to go. But it's all a question of about responding to the challenge of inclusivity. Like I said in the open letter, sincerely speaking, I feel really, really scandalized that in the process of filling those vacancies, we further complicate our imbalance, by now projecting both national chairman and national secretary as Muslims.
Malam Salihu Lukman, a former national vice chairman of the APC, said he's resigned. The party said they've not accepted his resignation. I don't know where that is hanging. They must send your salary to your account.
I don't know why you are getting that show.
No. Right on this program, I was being told by the National Publicity Secretary that your resignation has not been accepted. So, as far as we know, in the public domain, you are still the national vice chairman, Northwest of the APC. But thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
I can tell you that nobody is relating with me in the party now as national vice chairman.
All right.